Hey, what's going on? It's Daniel Gillespie with UponArriving.com, and in this video, I'm going to be telling you everything you need to know about Chase Private Client, including how to get it and what kind of benefits you can expect to receive. So before I jump in, if you're new to this channel, I cover things like credit card rewards, hotels, airfare, and a lot of other interesting travel topics. So if you like that type of stuff, be sure to subscribe and hit that little bell icon so that you don't miss out on anything. Also, before starting off, I just want to be clear that I am not a financial advisor. This is me just kind of giving the breakdown of what Chase Private Client offers and some of my own personal thoughts on it. Okay, so first, what is Chase Private Client? Well, it's a special program designed for affluent customers to help them manage their wealth and to provide them with special perks that make their life a little bit easier and that can save them a little bit of money. So how do you qualify for Chase Private Client? Well, Chase is really explicit about the requirements and says that you're going to need to maintain an average daily balance of $250,000 or more in assets. Now, these assets can be in the form of bank accounts, so it could be a savings or checking account, or it could be in the form of certain assets like investments. Now, there are some investments that are excluded, so if you want to find out more about those, be sure to check the article in the description below. Now, this $250,000 requirement is not necessarily a hard cutoff. So I've had an off-the-record discussion with a Chase private banker who basically told me that in some cases they do allow people into the program that don't currently meet that threshold. Now, in those cases, that banker is going to need to see some potential in you as a future private client member. In other words, they're going to expect you to meet that $250,000 requirement and sometime in the future, probably within a year or so. So if you join this program with no intention of ever meeting that $250,000 requirement, there's a good chance that you'll actually be downgraded after about a year or so. So the next question is it worth it to park $250,000 with Chase? And to me, the answer to this question really just depends on what kind of assets you're parking there. So I personally would not want to put $250,000 in the form of a checking or savings account. Instead, I would much rather have that invested. So for me, I really would consider the bank account route. But if you are considering that route, you should know that the annual percentage yield rates for Chase savings accounts are not very high. I'm not sure what the latest rates are, but I know in the past when I checked them, they were under 1%. And considering how many other banks that you can find that offer 2% or higher, I think that that's a pretty big opportunity cost when it comes to putting your funds into a Chase savings account. Now, if you want to check out the rates for some other banks, I actually have a couple of links in the article below that can direct you to those, and you can see just how much you might be able to get. So that's my attitude with respect to parking cash with Chase to meet the private client threshold. But when it comes to investments, I think it can make a lot more sense, and I'll talk about that more in just a second. So what are the Chase private client benefits? Well, there are several of these benefits, and I'll start off just talking about the people that you get to deal with. So as a private client member, you'll have your own private banker and your own advisor. Now, the banker is obviously going to help you with banking needs, and this could mean anything from just managing your accounts, but also to seeking out forms of funding, maybe a mortgage, maybe an auto loan, or maybe some type of a business loan. They can kind of help you manage through that process. Now, one drawback about these bankers is that they are not located at every branch. So in some cases, you're going to have to do a little bit of shopping around to try to find a Chase private client banker, which means that it could take some time in order for them to get to a branch near you. So if you like to get things done really quickly, this could actually be a problem for you. And if you want to search for the different Chase private client locations, you can find a link to do that in the article below. Now, the second person that you'll have is a Chase private client advisor who is basically there to help you manage your portfolio. Now, with this, Chase is likely going to try to push an active managed account on you, and that is a big turnoff to a lot of people who prefer more passive investments. So if you don't know an active managed account, you actually pay a fee to someone to basically go and find investments for you and to make those investments. And there is a hot debate as to which route is better to go. Some people swear by these actively managed funds. Others say that ETFs based on the market actually outperform those on average in the long run. And for right now, I'm just going to avoid that debate. Although if you have an opinion on active versus passive managed, be sure to let me know in the comments below. But I do want to say that the most attractive option to me would be moving in my own index funds into Chase Private Client in order to meet that $250K requirement. There are reports of people out there who have been able to move in their index funds from somewhere, say like Vanguard, with very minimal fees. And so if that is the case, if that is still possible, that would be a very attractive option to me. But I think that it would be a great idea to first kind of clear the air with your Chase Private Client banker and advisor and let them know this is what you want to do, and you want them to be very upfront with you when it comes to any potential fees. And also, how is this private client advisor going to be acting throughout this process? Are they going to be trying to sell you every 2 seconds an actively managed account? Because there are some reports online of these advisors constantly pushing these actively managed accounts on people, and that would just be really annoying to me if that's not something that I was interested in at all. So I would definitely be very curious about that and would make sure to ask all the questions necessary to clear up any possible confusion. Okay, so now moving on to other benefits, and these are the benefits that Private Client is really known for. And the first one is no ATM fees. So anytime you're using a non-Chase ATM, Chase will not charge you any fees, and they also will refund you for any fees charged by the ATM owner. Now, sometimes this does not happen automatically, so sometimes you actually need to follow up on the charge. Chase also won't charge you the foreign exchange rate fees that are usually tacked on top of your ATM withdrawals or debit card usage. So if you're doing a lot of international traveling, you can actually end up saving a lot by avoiding those ATM fees and also avoiding those foreign exchange fees. Now, you can also save big on fees with wire transfers as a Chase Private Client member. You won't have to pay any wiring fees for any domestic or international wiring transactions, whether those are outgoing or incoming. Now, those Chase wire fees can be as much as $45. So if you do a lot of wire transactions, this can actually end up saving you a lot. But note that you still may have to pay fees that are associated with other banks. Now, as a Chase Private Client member, you'll actually get some other additional benefits that are just going to make your financial life a little bit easier. So for example, your quick deposit limit gets upped all the way up to $25,000 per day or $100,000 over the span of 30 days. Your quick pay limits actually go up to $5,000 per day or $40,000 per month. And when it comes to your debit card, you also get some benefits like being able to withdraw up to $2,000 per day. Now, you can also avoid fees on things like counter checks, money orders, and cashier's checks whenever you go into a Chase branch. And there are also no fees for personal style checks with Chase. And then there are some more perks, like you get a free 3x5 safe deposit box. And if you want one bigger than that, you can actually get a 20% discount on that. And if you want to open up a Chase business account, you can actually get reduced monthly minimums or reduced fees with some of those. And another great perk is that as a Private Client member, you can actually get $0 commissions on ETF and other stock trades. Now, there are other ways to get commission-free ETF trades and stock trades, but as far as I know, there are not a whole lot of other major banking institutions offering this type of package, and so this is actually a pretty decent deal for Chase Private Client members. You also get special family member privileges. So whenever you add an adult family member who becomes a joint owner on an account, they actually can get the Private Client benefits and privileges as well. Now, there also is the Chase Private Client Arts and Culture Program, which basically grants you free entry into a lot of different museums. Now, if you live in a major city in the US, this is where you're going to be able to get the most value for this. And sometimes you can actually get free entry for you and up to 4 additional guests, which can actually be a pretty valuable perk. And if you want to find out more about those different locations and the different types of museums that you can get into, be sure to check out the article in the description below. So overall, is Chase Private Client worth it? I think that this definitely can be worth it for the right person. First, if you're into actively managed funds and you're already investing with Chase, then this could actually be a logical next step for you. But if you're someone who prefers passive managed investments, then maybe you want to look into moving in some funds, maybe some ETFs or index funds into Chase, so that maybe you can just meet the requirement that way. And if it is possible to avoid a lot of fees and the pestering from a potential advisor, then I think that it could be worth it as well. And if you do a lot of international travel, or if you make a lot of wire transactions, then you actually could end up saving a lot each year. So overall, I think Chase Private Client is a pretty solid program for the right person. Definitely not for everybody, but if you do fall into that certain mold that Chase Private Client is made for, then you can actually get a lot of benefit from this. So that's it for Chase Private Client. If you found this video helpful, be sure to subscribe and hit that like button, and let me know in the comments below how you feel about Chase Private Client, and be sure to check out the link below for more information about this program.